Hi, I'm TJ, and I am filming my first episode, and hopefully not the last episode, of Food Junkie Productions. Today, I am doing this for a leadership assessment for my Communicology 361 class this fall of 2016. I hope all of you are really excited because I'm excited to talk about this. And for today, I'll talk about my leader, and her name is Leena Ala-Hilea. Leena Ala-Hilea, or Lei as she prefers to be called, is actually a associate senior program director at the Leeward YMCA of Honolulu. So she has been working there for over 10 years, and not always there, but not always at the Leeward branch, but she's been all over. Personally, I have known her from the Mililani branch and the Leeward branch. So she's been doing this a long time. My goal is also to learn as much as I can for this assessment so that I can tell you everything she knows about how she communicates with her followers, her bosses, and with everyone else that she services. From her job, she services from Waipahu all the way to Waianae, so they have a huge area to cover, and I want to be able to pull from her and see if I agree with her based on what she thinks good qualities of a leader are and what she thinks the negative qualities of a leader are, because I want to embody the good qualities that we both agree on, and the negative ones I want to stay away and not embody those qualities. So today that's what we're going to do, so sit back, watch, and we're going to get started. My first impressions of Lei is that she definitely knows what she's doing. It seems that everyone that she's around respects her completely and that they trust her completely, because every time I've seen someone walk into her office or talk to her and ask questions, they have that, you have that assumption that she's going to know exactly what to do and how to do it. So that's really great to know that she has that experience and she has that trust from her people. At the same time, she's really lighthearted and she keeps things easygoing, so that when she gives out rewards and discipline, it's not taken the wrong way, or it doesn't pump up their ego too much, so they know what they're doing. She's really good at encouraging and teaching at the same time, which I hope to use in the future when I become in a leadership position. So right now we're going to focus on the democratic, authoritarian, and laissez-faire. So democratic is a leader that gets input from their followers, and from that they can still change what they want, but at the end of the day they still make the final decision. But the point is that they get input from their followers. Authoritarian is something that they tell exactly what their followers want them to do, and they do it the way they want to do it. It's their way or the highway, basically. So that's something that authoritarian is. Next is laissez-faire, which is very much a standoffish approach. So for that, you want to stand back and let your followers do everything they can by themselves with little to no supervision. It's different from the other two, because the other two styles, democratic and authoritarian, still check up on their leaders, still see what they're doing, but they want to make sure that their followers do it correctly. Versus laissez-faire is give them a goal, don't tell them what you want to do, and see what happens. So that's what those three styles are. Next up, I'll be asking Lei what she thinks of herself, and then I'll go on to explain a questionnaire that I have for her.
I'm probably more of the Democratic. Is that Democratic?
Yeah.
Democratic?
Yes.
The Democratic leadership style. Because it's important to understand that other people's feedback and their opinions matter. Because if you don't include them, then really, at the end of the day, your success or your failure depends on the whole teamwork and their opinions. So I tend to seek other resources, seek opinions from other people before making a final decision. At the end of the day, it still may be the decision I originally went with or I originally thought was always correct, or it may not be. It may be something entirely different that with the help of others, it seems to be a better fit for everyone.
The questionnaire that I gave to Lay is actually from Department in the government. It's for labor, Department of Labor. So that is just to see what kind of leadership style she has, as I explained earlier, of democratic, authoritarian, and laissez-faire. So that way, she'll give us an assessment that she thinks she is, and then at the end, she may or may not be surprised about what her style is. But I believe she's surprised at what she is. So now we'll just see her do that, and I'll speed that up for you.
Some of the questions we really have to think about them in regards to how that will affect your employees or your subordinates. But I mean, I was on target for the most part, but it did have some eye-opening questions that I should probably look at in addressing my leadership style moving forward.
I believe that Lay is a combination of 4 different styles, and for that, it's democratic, authoritarian, situational, and transformational. And so we're going to talk about that in the next few slides. And for each of them, I'll just give a brief overview. You already know what democratic authoritarian is, but situational is that you change to the situation. You want to be able to help your followers based on a lot of different things. And then the transformational is making sure that your followers transform, basically, or you help them achieve and grow beyond what they expect, beyond expectations. So that's what I'm going to get into now. So for the first one, I believe she was democratic because she does want input from her followers. She does believe that a good leadership quality is that you have to listen to your followers and you get input from them, because sometimes you don't always have the right decision or the right way to do things at the end of the day, even though that Lay believes that she always usually does have the right way. But it's always good to make your followers feel valued and to have them good input so that you can change and adapt to the situations.
A good leader should be a good listener. And that's usually the key to finding out more about the person. That will help you determine what level they're at when they're working. A bad leader is someone who isn't open to constructive criticism, no matter, or feedback, I should say, not so much constructive criticism, but no matter how bad it sounds or how much that could set you back, someone who is unable to take that kind of feedback and reassess what they're doing, it just makes them, really, they work harder and they don't work smarter. So it's definitely someone who needs to be able to take what they hear and really, really take it to heart and change what they have to do.
There are times that Lay shows authoritarian communication styles, and that's important too, because there's sometimes where she has followers that don't have as much experience or don't know what to do. So she does display authoritarian leadership in telling them exactly how she wants it done and the way she wants them to do it, because sometimes we don't have a lot of time and she just has to get things done. At the same time, she's setting the bar so that in the future their followers know exactly what she expects of them, so she can step off a bit and do a more democratic style. So for that, that's why she thinks that she believes, and the questionnaire has shown that she has a little bit of authoritarian traits in her. And with that example I want to talk about is how, when I was observing her, we have a registrar at the YMCA, which is basically when people sign up for programs, especially for after school program, the A+, they go to one person and they turn in all their homework, and that everything has to be to the letter because all that paperwork is submitted to the state. So for that, it has to be done perfectly, and Lay makes sure, as the associate senior program director, she works with the registrar to make sure all the paperwork is in line, so that one, they can make sure that it's all correct and that the state accepts it, and two, they can help the parents as soon as possible with after school care. So that's something that I've seen with the registrar, that she was a little bit more strict with him, even though that they're good friends, I've seen afterwards, but she's a little strict with him because he knows what he's doing, he's been doing it a while, but sometimes she wants it done a specific way because of the circumstances that is around the A+ registration. So for that, she does a really good job without being too overbearing or too harsh, but she's making sure that he does it exactly the way that needs to be done. So the third leadership style that I think Leah is situational, specifically Pathco theory. So the Pathco theory has four major parts to it. It is defining goals, clarifies path, removes obstacles, and provides support. So defining goals is basically saying what she wants them to do. So I want this thing done by this time, and telling them that to all of her followers so they know exactly what she needs done from them. And then when she clarifies path, she clarifies, or she makes it easier to understand how exactly she wants them to achieve that goal. So for that, that's really important, because a lot of things at the YMCA have to be done a very specific way through policies, and just to make sure that they do everything they can for their families. So for that, that's also really important. For removing obstacles, sometimes the obstacles can be really simple, as in making sure they get the supplies they need, or putting them in an environment or a room that's nice and cool and it's not too loud so they can better do their job. Or even things like removing someone from that team that isn't as appropriate or isn't helping facilitate getting the job done. So that's actually really important. And last is provide support. So provide support is a lot of times from Leigh, I've seen, is that she provides experiences and advice. So for that, she asks them, like, how are they doing? Do you need help with anything? And if they're not sure about anything, then she tells them, oh, this is what I did, and if you want to do something similar. So something that she's really good at giving advice and telling them her experiences and how best to deal with things. So that's why I believe she is Pathco theory. And here's an example from the video saying how she views herself and how she is Pathco theory.
It's definitely helped me to understand that everybody works differently, and so it's important to realize that you have to adapt to how they are so that you can build a better team.
The last example that I said that she is that she is transformational leadership. And so that she focuses on, or when I asked her what her goal was, she focuses on making sure she's able to help her staff and her employees grow. She wants them to take the initiative and go out and do things and want to be able to do things. So for that, she's very much focused on growth. So the definition of transformational leadership is that the process where a person engages with others and creates a connection that raises a level of motivation and morality in both the leader and the followers, and tries to help followers reach their fullest potential. So for that, I witnessed during the observation is that when people came in and asked for advice, she really connected them in a way of making sure that they would talk about their problems at work, or even problems outside of work. So she had that level of friendship with them without losing her authority as their boss. So for that, she's able to make sure that everything stays lighthearted. She makes jokes. She makes them feel welcome and valued. And that's really important to facilitate the connection and to make sure that she can help them grow. After that, she really sets standards and she really clarifies her path from Pathco theory about how she wants them to get done and she expects so much of them. So that's really important, that making sure that the expectations come with the belief in them, that she knows they can do it, and that really helps her staff and her employees. And last but not least, she tries her best for them to reach their fullest potential. So usually, just like the Pathco theory, she removes obstacles, and for the transformational, she really believes in them and helps them want to do things, helps them want to be better than they are. So that's really what I believe transformational leadership is. And in the following clip, she'll talk about how she actually does it, and she has some examples and things like that.
My goal is for them to feel empowered to find their own resources and get something done themselves. While I am there to give them guidance, there are also others that have maybe even more knowledge than I do. So my goal is to really get them to be open-minded about it and find other resources, and not just me, and maybe they have better ways than me. So find other people and really get their tasks done.
Right now, let's talk about what no leader really wants to hear but needs to hear is her weaknesses. So her weaknesses that she is aware of, and that what I believe she has, is her stubbornness. Her stubbornness is very much, she knows the way that everything has to be done. She knows the best way, and you should do it her best way. So that just comes with the experience that she's been doing, not just YMCA programs, but her other experience from outside this job. She has so much that she brings to the table that for the most time she does have the best way, and at the same time she does want to be able to learn and adapt. So a big part of it is that she knows what she wants, and she wants to make sure everyone gets on the same page. So for that, it is her stubbornness that sometimes she'll shut people down, but she realizes and she steps back and she really makes sure that she overcomes that stubbornness and gets input from her followers.
My weakness is I can be stubborn. I can be very, very stubborn in thinking that sometimes it's my way or the highway, without taking other things into account. And stubborn, and yeah, it's a big one. My biggest weakness is being stubborn.
Now I have a few recommendations for Lay that she needs, and there's three things: is setting more standards and deadlines, checking in with specific staff that she believes need more help, and monitoring staff as they do meetings more and other activities. So a lot of times with setting more standards and deadlines, she is really good about getting input, and she does check in and she does ask them to do things, but setting more specific time deadlines would be really helpful at just setting consequences for those. So for that, she does seem really lax, and she does get everything done, but a lot of times she stresses when things don't actually get done in a better time, and then they end up rushing a lot of things. So maybe setting standards and delegating to her staff about what she needs and how she wants to get things done, so it really help her in the future in terms of stress and having a lot of time to make it better and more perfect than it already is. The second thing is checking with specific staff. So checking with specific staff is really good, because sometimes I've noticed that it's usually the same staff that go into her office and talk to her, and she doesn't have as much of the other staff that come into her office. So maybe she could set times with certain of her site directors, about how are they doing, how your job is there anything you need from me, things like that, because it seems like the same people come into her office a lot. So that's another thing. And the last thing is that she wants to mentor a staff under her and lead during meetings. And that's really important in monitoring too, because now that she is in that position, it'd be nice to bring up other leaders. And it doesn't have to be the same one the entire time. She can pick someone every month or for a quarter. Just make sure that, hey, we're going to have you do this and lead this meeting or other activities, and we'll just help you along because you show potential. So in that way she can boost the confidence of that leader, bring them up and teach them things. So if she ever gets sick, or if any other leaders get sick, there is someone to step up and take her place. It is a great thing to do for any organization, and a lot of times Leigh is stuck in the office doing paperwork and back-end things. So that is really important to have someone on the front lines there with her or without her to make sure that things get done. So that's my recommendations. And I really like a lot of what Leigh does in all her leadership styles, which I believe I want to have. So she has a lot of great qualities I think good leaders should have. So I think I really want to embody a lot of what she does. Okay, everyone, this is the end of my leadership assessment. I will just summarize everything that we went over today. So, we talked about how Lei views herself, and how I believe she's 4 distinct leadership styles, which is democratic, authoritarian, pathgo theory, which is situational, and transformational leadership. So those are the 4 things that I believe that she uses in her everyday life at work, and that I want to embody those qualities, as I said earlier. So for that, and also gave some recommendations. So for the recommendations, I did list a few things that she needs to do, that she might need to improve on, but she does well already. And I just want to thank Lei, and that she let me interview her and record and observe her during this time. And I am actually really happy that I did this, and I really enjoyed this project. So thank you so much. Have a great day.